Hi everybody, it's Sophie here and welcome to the Crossdressing Lifestyle channel. I've received quite a few emails recently asking how I would go about blocking my eyebrows out should I need to. So what I've done is I've thrown on this very demure face, which is not like my attempt at a drag look. As you can see, my eyebrows are considerably higher than they normally are, so if you want to see how I achieved the blocking out and what sort of technique I used, please join me straight after the intro. Welcome back. In today's video we're going to try and do the classical blocking out of one's eyebrows here. Normally I just use facelift tapes and follow my own eyebrows, and I find that's sufficient. But if I want to do a more dramatic type of look, particularly a drag look, and I really want to open my eyes quite out substantially, I will block in my eyebrows to create a much higher up eyebrow, sort of up here a little bit, to really punch the eyes out. So what I use and how I go about doing that is relatively straightforward. Now you may see on the internet that quite a lot of drag queens, particularly Raven and people like that, use Pritt sticks. Now I've used those in the past, but I don't find them particularly good for the approach that I use, because it comes unglued quite easily. So I actually use this product here. It's by Krolon. It's called Cine Wax. If I haven't got any of that hanging around, I also at times have used this eyebrow plastic. Now both of them are the same. They're a good sealing sort of wax product. That what we want to do is really push these existing sort of hairs down as much as possible. And I've found really that Cine Wax, for me anyway, is the best. So because it's softer, I find that Pritt sticks takes a lot of sort of working in. It doesn't work for me. So what I do is I just sort of scrape off a little bit here. I use the spatula and I put it on the palm of my hand and I push it around a little bit to warm it up, to make sure it's nice and plastic. I'm going to take this spatula sort of look here and I'm going to push it all the way into the existing eye sort of hairs here, and then work it backwards and keep flattening it down. So it's just a case of pushing it as hard as you can all the way along. Now we want to keep it fairly close to your existing line, because we've got to seal all this down. So I go back and forth several times. I'm really pushing this in quite hard. I'll do the other side. And I want to go kind of with the grain and then push it in underneath. My objective is to get it as flat as possible. I've got an old spoon here to really sort of push it all the way in. I really want to work that in as tight as possible. Rolling it around. Let's put a little bit more on this particular brow. You don't want to put too much on, because we've got to seal this down to the next stage, and if we put too much of the sealing wax on there, or whatever product you're going to use to secure the actual lashes down, you get a much bigger area, and therefore the bigger area that you've got, more of an opportunity for it to actually fail. It's a bigger area for you to tidy up as well. I'll work that also with my fingers. Now I'm going to take a little bit of translucent powder as well, just to pat them down a little bit. I don't want to use too much at this stage. I'm just going to use a little bit just to dry it down and push that powder in as hard as you can. So it almost disappears. I'm quite happy with that. Now what I use to seal it down is, you can use a spirit gum, but I prefer to use this, again it's a Krolon product, it's a HD Pro gum, and it seals really well. Now what I want to do is go over the area to make sure that it's nice and sealed down quite tightly. But again, I want to keep this line as precise as possible. Now I have a little bit of patience here for the glue itself to sort of dry, but I'm going to actually speed it up for the process of this, or for the purpose of this video. I'm going to actually use a hairdryer. Fairly touch dry now. Again, I'm going to go back in with a little bit of powder just to seal this down. So just pressing in a little bit more translucent powder. Just push it in again. Just get rid of the excess. Now at this stage here we can fill probably a little bit of the bumps and the gaps in there with a slightly thicker foundation and maybe a bit of concealer, but I'm actually going to go back in with a TV paint stick. I'm going to use quite a light shade because it's on my forehead area here just to blend this in. This is a particular one, is a 3W, so I'm just going to go back in with that. I'll block this last bit in. Going to take a blending brush and just ease that in a little bit more, just to make sure it's a little bit more even. And finally one more coat of translucent powder over the top again, just to seal it all in. This is why you want to use as little as possible of the sealing down product, because you don't want too big an area around this to have to deal with later on, and it could peel off. So there we go. My eyebrows have basically vanished. Now it doesn't take that long. You just take your time in pushing it all in, making sure it's nice and even. Seal it with the powder, and then just keep building it up if necessary. So I hope you found that interesting and helpful. But there we go, ladies and gentle folks. That's my whole drag sort of look, complete with a puffy out hair, which is just about everywhere. I hope you found that of interest and of assistance. Please feel free to drop me a note down below if you want a little bit more explanation, particularly if you wanted to see how I achieve this sort of over-the-top draggy sort of look. If you want to see me do a makeover of that, it'd be lovely to hear from you. So all that remains is for me to kindly ask you to subscribe, because that does keep us going. And finally, the very last thing is, as always, stay gorgeous.